Distractions are everywhere, you're consuming more than ever, you're getting less out of life. And the worst part is you feel only half productive, and every single day you wish you did more. And that is all because of the dopamine paradox. But the good news is there's a strategy to break free. So this is how to reclaim your life, build the consistency, the discipline, master routines, and master yourself using the dopamine paradox. Part number 1, understanding the loop. You see, you're not exhausted because you're doing too much. You're exhausted because your brain never gets to finish anything. Some time ago, I was in a bad place because my dopamine baseline was way too high, my emotional circuits were fried, and I had all these things, all these ambitions, all these goals and tasks that I wanted to do, and I didn't do anything. I would write all these goals down, I would do all this fancy stuff, and all that did was just leave me feeling overwhelmed. Now, the truth is, you can do anything, but you can't do everything all at once. You can't possibly sit in 2 chairs at the same time. You have to decide what you have to do. You have to narrow your focus on your life, on your tasks, so you avoid just getting distracted by random things that just keep coming up and never allow you to actually work towards achieving your goals. So step number 1 to reclaiming your life is to understand that most days actually look like this. You have reward, you have a bit of effort, more reward, a bit of effort, more reward, more reward. That is what the average person goes through. Now, the dopamine paradox and dopamine in general is just basically understanding that we have a reward system. The human mind has a reward system. It has effort, then reward, then effort, then reward. That is the normal loop. The normal healthy dopamine cycle is rewarding yourself for actual effort. But most people nowadays reward themselves for nothing. And usually their days are filled with more reward than actual effort. And the problem there is your mind and your dopamine gets confused because you're rewarding yourself too often. You're giving yourself too many hits of cheap dopamine. Your dopamine baseline rises. And as a result, you feel lost, you feel stuck. Nothing feels enjoyable anymore. The only thing that feel enjoyable are pretty much the things that are bad habits, the things that aren't good for you. Now, your brain was never designed for infinite loops. But that is the loop we live in. We live in these constant cycles of just, rewarding yourself cheap dopamine after cheap dopamine after cheap dopamine. And that is why you feel so stuck. Now, you watching this video right now, I want you to take a look at your goal. Maybe you want to be a full-time trader. Maybe you want to be a YouTuber. Maybe you want to be successful. Maybe you have whatever goal you have, whatever vision and dream you have. I want you to take a look at that right now. Just imagine your successful version. Imagine that final version of yourself who is where you want to be. Now take that goal and just tie it to daily actions. Ask yourself, what do you have to do every single day to achieve that goal? Now, in order to be able to do those things, those daily actions, you need to actually enjoy them, right? Discipline isn't just forcing yourself to do something when you don't feel like doing it, although that's sometimes the case. You need to make things enjoyable. Discipline is making the shift so that you enjoy the things that are good for you. That's what it's all about. But the problem here is, even if you know where you want to go, you know exactly where the person you want to be, and you know what you have to do to get there. If your dopamine baseline, that's the dopamine paradox. If your dopamine baseline is way too high, which it probably is, then it's going to be impossible to take the action. You're just going to feel overwhelmed. You're going to feel massive resistance and friction between you and the action. And this isn't just a discipline problem. This is what happens when reward becomes effortless and endless. And one thing about dopamine is it isn't actually pleasure. It is anticipation. And when anticipation is always satisfied instantly within seconds, then your motivation has nowhere to go. And that's where you feel low motivation, low drive, low just hunger to achieve your goals and to work towards a better life. You need to understand, if you want to master your dopamine so that you can master your life and achieve your goals, you really need to understand how dopamine works, the loops of dopamine, and in order to be able to rewire your dopamine. Because I say this in almost every video, if you can rewire your dopamine to actually shift your baseline lower and lower, then even simple things start to become enjoyable. Things like journaling, things like reading, things like exercising and going to the gym, keeping healthy, improving your physique, things like deep work, actually working towards your goals. All these things become enjoyable under the right conditions. And that takes me to part number 2, fixing the broken exchange. Your brain actually doesn't hate hard things. It just hates uncertain rewards. Basically, when rewards are everywhere, effort stops meaning anything. And that is what is happening in today's society. We have notifications. You're sitting on your desk, you're trying to work, and all of a sudden a notification pops up. Your phone starts vibrating. Somebody calls you, something happens, and you're taken in all these different directions, and you're just rewarded for nothing. You reward yourself for rewarding yourself, and that is why your dopamine system is unregulated, making the good things, the hard things, actually hard. You see, pleasure loses its power when it is unearned. I mean, think about this. A cold drink always tastes better after a hard workout. If you're always having cold drinks with no actual hard work and sweat, then it's not going to be that enjoyable. It's going to be fine. But when you went for the run and you're super thirsty and you drink that glass of ice water, it's amazing. It's such an amazing experience. And that is a key point to actually reclaim your life. It starts with reclaiming the fundament of everything, which is your reward system, because your reward system dictates your actions, and your actions dictate your results, which dictates your life. So it is all about controlling the exchange you have with yourself for doing certain things. Now let me explain. Basically, if you're doing a hard workout, a hard task, and you go through a lot of hard challenges and things throughout the day, and then you reward yourself, you're telling your brain that everything that preceded, all the hard tasks, are good. On the other hand, if you waste time and you procrastinate and you scroll for the whole day and then you reward yourself, you're telling your brain that this thing is really good, that it's good to procrastinate, that it's good to scroll, that it's good to waste time and be confused. So if you can control the exchange, you can almost teach your brain the exact way that it should be. Because if you don't teach your brain what success should feel like, if you don't teach your brain what hard work actually means, what consistency and discipline and focus actually do for you, then what's going to happen is you're going to just resort to pleasure. Now, the brain's default, the monkey mind, you could call it, is just always going to look at what is the most pleasurable thing right now. And don't ask me why. That's just how the brain works. You've definitely experienced that. You have the higher self and the lower self. Without direction, without guidance, without actually taking your brain, taking your mind and your identity and moving it towards where you want to be, it is always going to go back to the default, the familiar, the pleasurable habits, the bad habits, because those are the things that actually feel good. And your brain just thinks that feeling good is a way to survive. But in this day and age, there's nothing really to survive. You're always pretty much safe, right? You have access to the basic needs. All your basic needs for survival are met. So that comes to the point, what are you really trying to survive from? So it is really just about making that switch with yourself. Satisfaction isn't consumed, it is actually created. A lot of people consume way more than they create. And the truth is, every single one of us, especially you watching this video right now, you have creativity. You have this willingness to create something, to be creative, to make something and show your passion, show your unique side into something. But when you don't create, what happens is you're always left with this void, this just feeling that it's not enough. And that's where you start to consume. That's where you pick up your phone, you scroll. That is where you distract yourself. You don't know what to do. You binge the bad habits. You binge TV series on Netflix, and you're just stuck living the same loop. But to reclaim your life, you need to also switch from being just a consumer to being a producer. If you're able to create at least just as much as you consume, then your life will change. As soon as I started making these videos on YouTube, I started to unlock a different level of discipline. Because for such a long time, I just had all this time and had all this creativity and energy that I didn't have any place to put it. I didn't have any place to express myself. So what happened is I ended up feeling this need to resort to consumption, endless cycles of entertainment and bad habits, and I just fell into a rut. But the thing that changed is actually consuming less and creating more. And also, if you create more, as a byproduct, you create less because you have less time. So just ask yourself, when was the last time you built something that you were actually proud of? And that goes to show that you have so much potential with actually making that change and creating something. I don't care if that's art. I don't care if that's making videos on YouTube. I don't care if that's just drawing, or if it's, working on yourself, working on calisthenics moves, learning some new skill. It might be coding, it might be business, whatever it is. Allowing yourself to tap into your highest levels of creativity, of energy, of expression is so important. Because once you have that locked in, it just makes everything so much easier. It makes the habits easier. It makes your mental clarity easier, your focus easier, and just everything's just better. Now, part 3 is reclaiming control. You see, once you understand the loop and you master the exchange, and when you finally reconnect effort with reward, the question then becomes simple. How do you actually live this way in a world designed to hold you back? And the answer isn't willpower, it is design. The whole world is designed to pull you back, is designed to keep you distracted. All these apps on your phone, all these devices and gadgets and things, they're designed to distract you. And if they're able to distract you, which most of the time they are, then you won't be able to focus. And if you can't focus, then you can't build. And if you can't build, then you can't live at your highest potential. So because everything is designed to keep you distracted, you need to design a system to keep you focused. And you actually don't need to fix your whole life, right? You just need one protected block of focus every day. Choose one time of the day, one daily input window where you're able to give full focus without being distracted. If you're waking up at 5:30 a.m., then you have a solid 5 to 6 hours before distractions of the world come crawling in. So a really good time for deep focus, for intentional work, for reclaiming your life is earlier in the morning. The earlier you can go, the better. You don't have to wake up at 5 a.m., but just waking up at a reasonable time is definitely a non-negotiable. Because if you're waking up at 10, 11 a.m., then you're just getting started while the distractions are already there. And have the same time each day, because if you can guarantee your input, if you can focus every day and you have this routine and you just know that at 5 a.m. every day or at 8 a.m. every day, I start with my deep work. And it's the same for me. You know, I've been using these systems in my life and I wake up, I have the same routine every single day. I wake up, I freshen up, I read, and then I meditate, and then I journal, and then I go on my computer and I start with the most important tasks of the day. The highest friction, the highest leverage, the highest needle moving tasks, I just do them first thing. And because of this, I have this repeatable system. Every day I wake up, I know what I have to do, you know? But if you're constantly changing, constantly switching, constantly doing something else, then you have no proper evidence that this is a habit, this is a routine. So setting yourself at least one protected input block every single day. If you can make it 2, if you can make it 3, that's even better. Because this is where you are building your dream life. This is where you are building the discipline that is going to unlock success. This is where you are rewiring your dopamine and identity shifting. This is where all the magic happens, in these protected work blocks. This includes your morning routine, this includes your night routine, this includes the habits you do, and also the times that you work. These work blocks for deep focus. These intentional sit downs where you actually build something. So reclaiming your life doesn't just start with productivity. It starts with one real block of creation, of doing something, of taking the actionable steps and breaking the ice and just being that fast action taker. The guy that just has an idea and takes action within minutes. They don't wait for years for, that right moment, but they just do it on the spot and they just get things done. And they get satisfaction from knowing that they're able to just cross off their to-do list and just be fast action takers. So it starts with creation. That is the real fundamental secret. So just start, create anything, do something, and just get the ball rolling. So it's all about removing choice and not actually pleasure. It's not about removing all pleasures and becoming a monk and just, isolating yourself from the world. But it's about building sustainable steps, building a system that you could stick to on a bad day, on a good day, on a sunny day, on a rainy day. Because sustainability is everything. If you can stick to something, the best plan is the one you can stick to for a long time. A lot of business models actually work. It's just about what are you willing to stick to for 2 to 3 years at least. So a couple of actionable steps you can implement right now is deciding in advance where you keep your phone, keeping your phone far away from you, optimizing environment for success, for habits, for discipline, and for deep work, keeping distractions and notifications where they should be, and also starting with an end goal in mind. If you're starting a task, you need to know before you even start what done feels like. What it feels like to finish, to complete, to be accomplished and achieve that thing. And the most important part of this whole entire video is delaying the reward. When it comes to the dopamine paradox, an important thing to understand is the easiest way to re-regulate your reward system is just delaying the reward. It's not removing the reward, it's not removing the pleasure, but it's putting it at the right time, controlling it. The fastest way to rebuild motivation is to feel reward after effort. It is to make the switch from instant gratification to delayed gratification. No phone until one real task is finished in the morning. You need to train your brain and your mind. No entertainment before I finish my daily tasks. No scrolling before I do all of the good habits. Before I read, before I meditate, journal, exercise. Nothing before I have actually earned it. And that is the only condition where you can actually enjoy real dopamine. You can actually enjoy the TV series, the show that you watch at night, when you've actually completed real work throughout the day, when you've spent the day meaningfully, you've done the things you have to do, you've done the habits, and you're just rewarding yourself. So just ask yourself, how can I rewire my relationship to effort and reward? How can I actually train myself to do the right things? How can I train myself to start enjoying the work, to start doing the things that I have to do on command? How can I train myself to improve my self-image, to improve my mindset, to improve my my mental state and my clarity? So delay the reward. Before breakfast, read, stretch, meditate. Before you watch that movie at night, journal at least a couple of pages. Before you have that cheat meal, train and exercise. You need to associate pleasure to good habits and doing the things that you have to do and doing the work. And you need to remove the current association that you have with pleasure being connected to the bad habits, wasting time, procrastinating. Because if you think about it, those things that are bad for you that you do, those vices, you need to first earn the vices and at the same time realize that the vices aren't even vices. The pleasures aren't even pleasure. The real pleasure is knowing that you're doing your best, The real pleasure is getting to the next step, becoming better, improving yourself, and actually having the discipline to do the hard work, especially when you don't feel like it. So if you want to get to the next step and become 1% better every day using the principles from Atomic Habits, then watch this video over here, Project 365, how to get 1% better every day.